Bradley Beal's season is done before it really even got started. Orlando Magic are falling apart, and reportedly could even be some tension between Paolo Banchero and Jamahl Mosley. And Jason Kidd now has even more control in Dallas. Does that lead to Anthony Davis getting traded? We can talk about that, all that and more on today's NBA Central.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at NBA Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and jump into it for today, y'all. And Bradley Beal is undergoing a season-ending hip surgery after a hip fracture that is going to bring his season to a complete halt. And this is unfortunate. Bradley Beal, who of course had some issues going there in Phoenix, was hoping to prove that he wasn't the problem in Phoenix. And I even was somebody who thought, hey, Bradley Beal still has more left in the tank than people are giving him credit for. It was just a bad situation in Phoenix. He makes a move to the Los Angeles Clippers, and the hope was that he was going to be able to come in there and provide them something. They lost Norman Powell, after him going away, and the hope was, hey, now maybe Bradley Beal is going to be able to come in and help provide some of that. And unfortunately, he hasn't. Bradley Beal had a not a great season when it came down to it. He played in 6 games. He averaged 8.2 points on 37% shooting from the field, 36% shooting from the 3-point range. And it was just clear that Bradley Beal just seems like somebody who, at this point in time, and I hate this, again, I would love to be wrong. Hopefully this surgery fixes some things and this could go. But as it stands right now, my personal opinion is Bradley Beal probably needs to think about retiring. I mean, really just when it comes down to it, he may need to seriously consider retiring. Mark Bartelstein of Priority Sports said this: "We met with numerous doctors and specialists around the country in collaboration with the entire Clippers medical staff over the last few days and came to the decision unanimously that the surgery will allow Bradley to have a full and complete recovery." Now, if you believe that he's going to be able to make a full and complete recovery, cool, great, right? But I tell you what, it's just so rare that a player that has had some of the stuff that Bradley Beal does, that he ends up making a full recovery, as they said. But listen, I'm not a medical professional. I could be blowing smoke. I could not know what the hell I'm talking about. And if I don't, cool, great. If Bradley Beal can get back out there on the basketball court, all power to him. It's not like he signed to a huge deal. He does have a player option next season for $5.6 million. So he can make the determination to just pick that up, go back out on the market. I would think with this type of injury and it ending his season, he's probably going to go back out there on the market. And, he's probably going to pick up that deal and avoid going back out on the market and just stay with the Clippers next year. The Clippers have their own things going on right now with that organization that the Clippers need to figure out, because as things stand right now, this is an old team that looks old. They're 3-7 on the season as things stand right now, and things just aren't looking great for them. Kawhi, that whole nonsense and madness going on with Kawhi. He's only played in 6 games as well. James Harden has been James Harden for the most part. They made a move for John Collins, who is giving them some pretty solid production off the bench for them. But the Clippers just don't seem like a team that's really going to be able to turn this thing around this season. Now, I'll say it doesn't seem like it. We ain't even made it to the end of November yet. There's still more than enough time for all the teams in the NBA to realistically turn some things around. But this is a Clippers team that is old, one of the oldest teams in the league. Their rotation was already, a little bit questionable when it came down to that. And they just haven't gotten great production out of almost any of their acquisitions this offseason. Chris Paul's only averaging 13 minutes per game. He's played in 8 games. Bradley Beal only played in 6 games. He only put up, less than double-digit point attempts when it came down to that as well. Kawhi's only played in 6 games for them so far out of 10. So, there's some definite questions on what the Clippers are going to look like going forward. But I think when it comes to Bradley Beal in this whole situation, it's just added on top of the whole madness going on with the Clippers. We all know the things outside of basketball going on with that organization, and now they got problems basketball-wise as well. So we'll see what the future holds, but let me know what you guys think down below. If you're Bradley Beal, would you consider hanging it up? Or do you pick up your player option for next year, that over $5 million, pick that up, and then just take a look at what things look like at that point in time? Try to make a recovery if you can. And then if not, maybe that's when you make a decision. Or, as we've seen before, sometimes the NBA makes a decision for you, meaning there aren't going to be very many teams that are willing to take a chance on you after that point. So we'll see. Again, hopefully, his agent, everybody says that they feel like this will make a full recovery. Let's hope that is a full recovery and Bradley Beal can get back out there, because it's not like Bradley Beal's old in life. He's not. He's 32 years old. Bradley Beal could realistically have another 5-6 years to play when you see some of these players. It just comes down to the health and if he's going to be able to stay healthy long enough. And I guess we'll see what that holds. You're moving on from that, though. The next topic. Reportedly, there is some potential beef going on with Paolo Banchero and head coach Jamahl Mosley. Now, this is interesting. I think Jamahl Mosley is a really good head coach, right? But when you look at a team that, is disappointing as things stand right now, they finished at 41-41 last season, right at 500. He does have a win-loss percentage over his career of 43%, but he was coming off back-to-back 500 or above seasons. And the hope was that the Magic, after acquiring Desmond Bane, were going to be able to go on and be what people thought they were going to be last year, one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, competing for an Eastern Conference crown and things like that. And as things stand right now, they're 5-6 on the season, one game below 500. And that's naturally going to always point some fingers someplace because you got to blame something. And usually it's the coach. But now, heading into this one, this adds a little bit of extra wrinkle on it. Reportedly, according to reports, that there's a growing disconnect between Paolo Banchero and Jamahl Mosley, and that team sources describe their communication as strained, saying it's become almost non-existent during timeouts. Banchero has reportedly avoided eye contact with when Mosley addresses the team, and several within the organization feel the two are no longer aligned. A direct quote comes from a source that says this. This is what the team looks like when a coach loses the locker room. He needs to figure it out fast. This is on track to go from being a fun young team with potential to being the disappointment that gets the coach fired. And I wish I could say that this is rare. This is a story as old as time in the NBA, is that when you have a team that disappoints, either a player is blamed and then you try to move that player, or the head coach is blamed. And the head coach is blamed usually more times than not. And Jamahl Mosley is in his fifth year now as the head coach of the Orlando Magic. And again, I just said it, a slightly under 500 record for that. They missed the playoffs his first 2 years. They lost in the first 2 rounds, the 2 years prior to this season. And this season doesn't look like it's going to be much of a different result because of the things happening there. And, you got some questions, whether it's the system or whatever else. Like, why do players like a Desmond Bane come here and then end up not being able to shoot to save their lives after being really good shooters? Same thing with KCP, who isn't necessarily shooting the ball better in Memphis, but he's having a better impact overall with that team, whether that be fit or whatever else. But these are the type of stories that you start hearing when a coach is going to be made the scapegoat. And like I'll say, I don't know if necessarily it's completely wrong, and maybe there is some systematic things that Jamahl Mosley's doing that's not making the best out of this team. I mean, I look at this team and, the offense has struggled for years when it comes down to it, even when their defense has been really great. And eventually the league just kind of figures you out or catches up with you. And it seems like that's what the Magic may be suffering from as things are going on right now this season for the Orlando Magic. So, we'll see what happens here. But I do have the feel that if this team keeps being disappointed, that Jamahl Mosley could be out of there by Christmas. I'm just going to be 100% honest with you. I would not be surprised if Jamahl Mosley is out of there by Christmas or around, if going into the next calendar year, Jamahl Mosley may not be the head coach of the Orlando Magic anymore. I mean, you look at what we've seen with like Mike Malone getting fired, in Denver, before a playoff run. Taylor Jenkins getting fired from Memphis, right? And those are some coaches that are out there that maybe could come in here and help, especially Taylor Jenkins, I think, offensively with this Orlando Magic team. But, I don't want to count out. I think Jamahl Mosley has the makings of a really good head coach. I really do. But I will not be surprised if he is removed as the head coach and he is made the scapegoat for the things going on with that team. But I guess we shall see what's going to happen there. From one coach struggling and maybe losing their locker room to another coach that is gaining more power in their organization, and that is Jason Kidd with the Dallas Mavericks. With Nico Harrison gone now, reportedly, Jason Kidd has seen even more power given to him, which, after the rumors of New York wanting him and turning that down, he got an extension. There was already some talk of him getting a little bit more power in the organization. Now, it is not clear as things stand right now if Jason Kidd had any place in the conversation around the firing of Nico Harrison. We'll see what happens there, right? Owner Patrick DeMont, and the coach, are clearly close, right? And so while we've seen Jason Kidd do things like unconventional lineups and things like that, it shows that he does have a lot of control there in there. And I think now with the extension on top of Nico Harrison leaving, adding more years to the deal, Jason Kidd now clearly has control in that. And league sources indicate that promoting Matt Riccardi as Harrison's full-time successor would signal even more influence that Jason Kidd has over the Dallas Mavericks and where things stand right now. And I don't know how Mavs fans feel about that. Is that the right move? Is that the bad move? We'll see, right? But it seems like also that former owner Mark Cuban also was involved in the decision to fire Nico Harrison as well. And we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But as things stand right now with that Dallas Mavericks team, there are some sources that say that the Mavs have a couple of tough decisions to make, right? Nico Harrison was one of the biggest people in that organization that favored Anthony Davis. And so now it seems like that Anthony Davis could be on the trade block here by the trade deadline. According to a Western Conference exec, they said this: the Maverick situation presents unique challenges. The team lacks control over first-round picks from 2027 to 2030. Assets surrendered in trades to build a contender around Luka. Saying this: you have Flagg, but you're old and you don't have your own picks. They have to be comfortable with taking 2 steps back if that's necessary, the necessary path. Be patient. They need to lose this year, but I don't see DeMont being comfortable with taking a step back. It's not natural as a new owner. So the question now remains, what would they do with Anthony Davis? And that question, the answer to that question could be gotten and discovered sooner rather than later, and that's where they're going to have to go to. That same Wex executive said this: you don't go 2 timelines anymore. You say, we're going to take what we can get for Davis. At this point, I'm not sure what they can get. And that's where the question lies. What can you get back for Anthony Davis if you're the Dallas Mavericks? Anthony Davis is still a player when he's on the court, is still very, 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 I want to make no mistake about it, productive. Now, if you're looking for him to be the leader and you're number one, that's where you raise some questions at. And then that's where the contract comes in at. Anthony Davis on average is making over $60 million over the next 3 years. 54 this year, 58 the year after that, and 60, almost 63 the year after that, the final year where he has a player option. And for a player like Anthony Davis that doesn't want to play center, which the Dallas Mavericks were a situation in which he didn't have to play center with Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford there, but you also need a point guard, and you need leadership. Anthony Davis is not a leader, and I don't say that to knock him. Not every really good player in the NBA is meant to be a leader. But when Anthony Davis is on the court, he's a double-double machine. He's going to get you over 2 blocks per game more times than not. But for example, he's played 5 games so far this season for the Dallas Mavericks out of 11. And so that's not necessarily the path that you want to see him on, dealing with the stuff that he's already dealing with. Now, he is averaging over 20 points, over 10 rebounds, a block and a half per game, a steal and a half per game. Like, he's doing the things that you typically see from Anthony Davis and being impactful. Over 50% from the floor. You like to see that. But the question is, if you're a team trading for Anthony Davis, can you take the risk? Keep in mind, this is a player that has not played over 60 games since 2023-24, where he played 76. But that was the only season that he played over 60 games since 2019-20. So it's some questions there in regards to his durability that are always going to be there for Anthony Davis. And now you have to ask yourself, if you're a team that's looking to potentially make a move for him, is that enough? And I don't know if we have the answer to that question. But you guys can let me know how you feel on all of it down below, man. We'll see what the Dallas Mavericks do. They are in such a unique situation because they literally gave up so many picks to build a championship contender, and they built it. And then they traded the player that they were building around, which just highlights why they moved on from Nico Harrison. It just did not make sense. And then now you because you have sent all that off, you have your draft pick in this year, which is a really deep draft. So if you're bad this year, great. You can find a pairing for Cooper Flagg, but then you got to try to find the most that you can between Daniel Gafford, Anthony Davis, maybe Kyrie Irving. You have to find what you have and what you can get for those guys, and maybe just suck it up and try to build something that's young and that gives you more runway. But that's just my thoughts. You guys can let me know, as always, how you feel on everything down below, man. But that's going to wrap it up for today's episode. The league is heating up faster than ever. It's been some great basketball every single night. While the Clippers do lose Beal, the Magic lose their focus, and the Mavericks, they may be losing control of their franchise altogether. But make sure you guys hit that like, subscribe button. You can follow us at NBA Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. And like I liked in every episode, stay tuned in, stay hoop ready, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.